At a glass. Sheesh. Discord is acting up today. So yeah, what I'm going to do real quick is get a glass of water, uh, super quick, and when I come back, we start talking about Iris and the cosmic currents. Be right back. I see you guys talking about oil, right? So I gotta represent my people. So yeah, guys. To be honest, I'm super happy that you guys want to talk about uh, Iris and the cosmic currents as well. And I think it's past time that we start providing more information about Iris, right? And everything related to her. Uh, in my mind, in my heart, in everything that I do in Star Atlas, Iris is the centerpiece of this whole universe. So when you look at my board of informations, when you look at my data, how I write and how I envision the world of Star Atlas, everything starts on Iris, and from Iris, it expands to the rest of Galia Expanse. And today, what I'm going to share with you guys is how a very particular tribe in the high risk zone uh, saw the ascension of Iris and how they perceive and interpret uh, the cosmic currents in the universe of Star Atlas. So a few notes that are important for this conversation today. First of all, as usual, things are subject to change. I'm still writing some of those concepts. So what I'm sharing here is pretty much alpha right out of the kitchen. So I also ask you guys to be mindful maybe of sharing too much of what you hear here with the outside world. I this is still under construction, but I feel good enough to share with you guys so we can start getting some feedback, some getting the conversation started. And also, what I'm going to share is the perspective of one civilization about an event that is, uh, how can I say? It's a huge event in terms of galactic influence. Like the birth of Iris is pretty much something that changed the whole reality and how everything works in Star Atlas, in Galia Expanse, to some degree. And the tribe of Oxir, it existed before the events of Iris Ascension, but it was transformed in a very singular way by the creation of Iris. So today, what I'm going to do is basically explain to you guys how Oxir perceives Iris and how Oxir uh, understands the phenomenon of the cosmic currents and how their society was affected by it, how it works together with the cosmic currents. And we are going to deep dive on their studies about the cosmic currents. So, what I'm going to share with you guys is pretty much what the writing of the Oxir tribe has in terms of knowledge about how the cosmic currents work in the universe in Galia Expanse. So, this introduction being made, uh, let's start at the beginning. Maybe not everyone is caught up with the overall lore of Star Atlas. Maybe we have newcomers here. So, the story of our game, the story of our project, it starts with a galactic anomaly. And this anomaly happens when Iris, uh, that's called a rogue planet, and a rogue planet is a planet that's not under the influence of a particular star system. It's pretty much wandering through the galaxy. Iris was a rogue planet full of precious resources that was drifting through space. And one day, something happens that makes Iris collide with 7 other dwarf planets. From this collision, uh, a singularity is formed, and in this singularity, something new rises. The area known as the Cataclysm, and Iris, at the heart of this collision, is changed, and a new form of energy starts surging from the planet's surface. The interesting thing here, and this is something that I don't know if you guys knew already, is that there were, of course, civilizations that existed in that period. And one of those civilizations that actually lived in the 7 dwarfs planets where Iris crashed were simply obliterated by the event. Oxir was farther away, like it was more distant, but the light of Iris on this singularity moment spread throughout the planets and ecosystems that were colonized by Oxir. When that happened, the tribes of Oxir and its citizens were influenced by this first light of Iris, and they felt in their body the effects of something that could be described akin to radiation. So, first of all, and this is alpha about Oxir, is that the members of the Oxir, they have how can I put it? Something close to mutations that are derived from the aspect of Iris. This is how they call them. Uh, that that shone upon them on this first moment. And of course, and this created a very interesting relationship between Iris and Oxir because after this first blast, lots of destruction was caused. Oxir had to shrink in the sense that many people died, they came back to their home world and they reorganized their society by bringing people with similar mutations or influences under different banners because they saw that even physically and psychologically they became different from one another, but still members of a same tribe. So yeah, this is this is like the big piece of one of the biggest alphas that we are going to share today. And Oxir then started um, worship, worshiping Iris as a goddess. and when they learn it, uh, unfortunately, no. Since Oxier is very far in the future in terms of game development, because Oxier exists in the high risk zone, I have not commissioned the art for Oxier. But on the lore side, I have some stuff, uh, still working through details. But this here is the first thing that I want you guys to notice is that the cosmic currents, especially when you are closer to it, it causes effects both in characters and the planets that exist within the impact or the influence of the cosmic currents. So going back to your story, Oxier gets drawn in the cosmic currents. Its population mutate, many people die. What was once a great empire shrinks, and they organize themselves in tribes. Each one of those tribes has some specific traits, and those traits they are linked with what they call the different aspects of Iris. And the way this happened a long, long time ago, and of course, time moves on, and the Oxier people, uh, they saw the Convergence War happening, they saw the rise of the Tufa, the exploitation that the different factions did in the area of the Cataclysm, in the in the in Iris itself. And for the most part, they stood far away from those conflicts. They were not involved directly. Indirectly, they plotted and worked to make sure that the factions wouldn't reach them or wouldn't cause them problems. But they saw the birth of Iris, they saw the birth of Tufa, they saw the Convergence War, and they saw the closure of the Cataclysm. But the people of Oxir, being worshippers and students of the arts of Iris, they have the means to access the Cataclysm. So one day, in a few years from now, those of you who remember this conversation will learn that one of the ways to find the Cataclysm and Iris is by finding Oxir. And, well, there are many ways. I want there to be many ways to to engage with this, but there's one of the paths to reach Iris is through Oxir. And Oxir created this myth where uh, Iris is the mother of the galaxy. Like they believe, they strongly believe that this event, all of those things, was the descendants of God's spirit into Iris, the rogue planet. And for them, Iris is their mother. And when the Convergence War happens, Iris doesn't understand what's happening, and she sees what she believes to be her children, the different factions, the Tufas and everyone fighting, trying to seize her resources, and Iris goes mad. Iris goes mad, and she starts pumping the cosmic currents, for the lack of a better word, to drive people away from her and from her youngest children, which are the Tufa. Iris closes the Cataclysm area and uses the cosmic current to guide the galaxy, to steer the galaxy to the fate or results that she feels are the most desirable ones. We could say it like that. So what Iris do here is protect herself, especially from the Photoli. Iris believes wholeheartedly that the Photolis are dangerous for her and her children, and she starts using the cosmic currents to communicate in a safe manner with the rest of Gaia. So Oxir starts studying with more deepness the phenomenon of the cosmic currents. They start understanding it in a way to communicate with Iris, communicate with her will. So in the lore of Star Atlas, the cosmic currents, especially from this tradition that studies, that comes from the Oxir tribe point of view of the events, Iris changes aspects uh, at whims, so they don't perceive or they don't see a pattern here. Like it's not like a zodiac sign where first comes, I don't know, I don't know zodiac signs orders, but Libra and then Lion and things like that. No, Iris moves as she wants to steer the galaxy to different themes, or when she wants to reward people, or when she wants to punish people. Well, it depends on her whims, let's say it like that. In the short term, there are oracles which can perceive the changes in the cosmic currents, and depending on their skills, they are able to even predict what's going to be the next aspect of Iris, and maybe even when that's going to happen. And my penguin dreams, like, is that this becomes a career in the future of Star Atlas. Like, I would love for players to be able to study the cosmic currents, like as a religion, as a field of study, and maybe even be able to predict the changes of the cosmic currents in game through gameplay loops associated with leveling up this career as an Oracle of Iris. But uh, okay, so the cosmic currents exist. Most people don't understand why or the reasons or how Iris changes things. But the people in the high risk zone knows for sure that they exist because uh, the manifestation of the cosmic currents is super strong there. I'm going to give you guys some details on that in a little bit, but uh, no, yeah, they have different levels of intensity, they have different aspects, and now what I'm going to do is walk us through what are those levels of intensity that I call from tier 1 to tier 5. I'm going to give you guys some examples of what a tier 1, uh, like what a tier 0 is and what a tier 5 influence is. And then I'm going to walk through each one of the aspects as I currently have designed them to be. So, first of all, let's start by the... No, first of all, before I start getting to that, any questions about this introduction, about Iris and Oxir and how things started basically in Star Atlas? Feel free to write anything in the chat, guys, if it comes to mind. While I drink some of my Ustur oil to make sure my throat doesn't go dry. Can you describe Oxir? Are they similar looking to Tufa? No. Uh, the people of Oxir, they are very different from the Tufas. They are humanoids, like um, they look more like Miaris, Sogmians, and Muds. I don't want to give too much details here because I would need to go deep into the mutations of each one of the tribes. And this is something that I want to get an agreement first with our artists, because creating uh, creating different uh, models of characters is a pain in the ass for artists. And we have many different tribes, so I feel I'll need to negotiate with them a little bit here, so I won't be giving you guys too much spoilers. Do the mutations give them great powers? Um, to some extent, yes. They come with abilities, but they come with disabilities as well. When we speak about the different aspects, you guys will be able to maybe understand how this works. It's something that's a trade-off due to the aspects influence. I don't want to give this too much of this away, because maybe one day this will become something that game design is going to do. But yeah, the mutations and the different members of Oxir, they excel at the tasks that their aspect represents. So, for example, uh, there is one aspect that is, let me grab a good one. One of the aspects is known as Iris Dusk. And Iris Dusks is related to stealth, to secrets, and things like that. So those guys, they have a natural ability, let's say, and maybe border supernatural for our MUDs or human perception criteria, to go into stealth and things like that. Uh, let's see, Chadix asked another question. Is there much known about the time before Iris happened, especially from an Oxir point of view? This is quite interesting. I have a timeline of civilizations and events in Star Atlas, and this is something that I want you guys to explore when we have something like the archaeologist's career in Star Atlas. Right now, there are some hints hidden in the sector's lore about things like that. I'll give you a super clear example. There are some more subtle ones spread, but I'll give you a clear example. There was once an empire on MRZ 27 called the Caravian Empire, which Incubus was the steward. The AI Incubus was the steward of this empire, and their decline started more or less when Iris, the singularity of Iris happened. Yeah, maybe I'm drinking some oil. So yeah, we have many civilizations that existed. I want there to be that civilization's technology in Star Atlas. Uh, something that I want to have some surprises in game related to those fallen technologies, those fallen civilizations, and things like that. So, for example, I'll give you an example. Not necessarily this is the case, but let's say you are exploring one of the planets in the medium risk zone or the high risk zone, and you go deep underground. You discover ruins that look like something that ancient civilizations left behind, and then you find an army of robots that are, you know, uh, turned off. And if you poke too much, the army awakes and takes over the planet. Players are not able to do anything until the robots are dealt with. This kind of experience is something that I want to do to shine some light on the civilizations that existed before the current factions of Star Atlas. But I'll not spend too much time on this because we have a lot to talk about the different aspects of iris. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys some points that I have uh, about each one of the aspects. You guys will see that I put some effort. I am I'm going to put on the Brew Lounge chat here. Oh crap, it's too big. I don't have Discord. Nitro. Just a second. I need to break this into a few. Yeah, I'll delete your comment just to allow people to read my stuff more easily. No hard feelings about the comment. So yeah, here is first aspect of iris. Aspect, not aspect, aspect, as Yaon corrected me. And the first one is the child. I'll read this because I think it's super cool. So, the child is one of the aspects of Iris. When Iris child is ruling the galaxy, the entire cosmos becomes filled with the energy of renewal. It is also a time of inquietude, patience, and tendering. For while the child brings the limitless potential of the new, it also requires great care. Iris child is exploring existence, full of gifts and curiosity. And while she fills the cosmos with life, she demands cares and energy, draining the people of the galaxy. So this here, uh, I feel like I shared some of the concepts, but what I'm going to do today is give you more insight. I'm not sure if I posted those actually, Mustache. Maybe I mentioned it then during one of the brews. But what I'm going to do today is give you guys more insight on how each one of them is connected with personality traits. And something that I want to do in the future is associate the crew members that we are creating right now with each one of those aspects. So you guys will see them like mimicking or being influenced by those different aspects on their behavior and things like that. Uh, One thing that I forgot to do before going to the different aspects of Iris is talking about the intensity and uh, how the cosmic currents work uh, in a sense. Yes, Shaddix. This is pretty much the zodiac of Galia Expanse. Uh, I'm not particularly how can I say this? One day, one guy created my zodiac birth map, and funny enough, I was like, I just became a lawyer when the guy did this. He was one of my clients, and he came to me and told me that my destiny was not in the law. Actually, my destiny lied on something that was not in Brazil, and uh, that I was bound to deal with uh, a project that was outside of my country. This impressed me, like, because years later, well, I came to Star Atlas, I stopped being a lawyer, and uh, although I am not involved in, like, I don't I don't know if I can't say that I believe, but I'm not, to use it to this. I surely felt like this is super interesting theme that we could adapt to Star Atlas. And one of the reasons for that is because this gives us so much potential of using the same assets or the same places in a very different manner. So, for example, uh, what I like an example of what I'm saying here is that Oxir, let's say the home world of Oxir, Tara. Uh, I don't know if I told you guys before. The home world in the high risk zone of the Oxia tribe is called Tara. It's going to be a very different place depending of when or the aspect of Iris that's currently ruling the galaxy when you visit there. So for example, when you go there, if you have no relationships with them, if you have no what's the word I'm looking here? Like you are a stranger to them. You haven't created ties with them. If you come during Iris child, you'll probably be well received. People will invite you to the planet. They will talk to you. They will be uh, courteous. They will welcome you. You feel good about Oxir and Tara. But if you go during a different period of time, during another aspect, let's say Iris Tempest, you probably will be shot down before you can even get to the planet if you don't have a good relationship with them. This is an example of behavior influence, but also depending where you are and the intensity of the cosmic currents of where you are, you can see maybe physical mutations on the different places in Gaia Expanse. And to explain this, I'll finally go into the different levels of intensity that I have been promising to explain since the beginning of this Lore Keepers meeting. So, as I said in the beginning, we start on tier 0 and we go all the way to tier 5. When we are talking about tier 0 of influence, uh, it's basically a place where the cosmic currents, let's say, although they exist, they don't hold any power or they are not strong enough to influence reality. And the main example of that is the safe zone of the factions orders. Mm, sorry, I'm drinking some water. For example, the people of the safe zone will probably spend their entire lives Star Atlas believing that the cosmic current doesn't exist because they simply doesn't feel the impacts or any sort of event linked to the cosmic current. For them, Iris, the Tufa, cosmic current, those are all bedtime stories that their parents tells them about the past of Gaia Expanse and things like that. Then we have uh, after tier 0 we have tier 1. Tier 1, to give you, I wrote this to give you like an example of what would be perceived as a tier 1 influence of the cosmic currents. It's basically like living in a house by the sea. When you live in a house by the sea, if any of you had the opportunity to live in a house by the sea, you see that the smell of salt is strong and your furniture your house furniture, it gets uh, it gets damaged over time due to the impacts of salt. You don't see this happening. It's not something that from one day to the other you are going to feel, but if you are really paying attention, if you are really well, if you are there and you take your time to observe, you see that something is occurring there. There is something happening, but it's something minor. Uh, it's something that won't, yeah, it's not relevant enough for you to care or something like this. Um, in terms of lore, it's like you waking up with a little more energy during a day or a little more sad. This is the kind of things that you can expect when you are under tier 1 influence of the cosmic currents. The medium risk zone of Star Atlas, probably you see sometimes the influence of a tier 1 cosmic current uh, event. Uh, Mind you that what I'm talking about here is intensity. The types of influence varies according to the aspect of iris that is exerting this influence. We'll go to them a little bit later, but yeah, that's it. When we are talking about tier 2, we are talking about the borders of the high risk zone with the medium risk zone. There, you can start seeing uh, things that you notice that are not common, but yeah, like it's not something that's, for example, I'll give you an example of something that I wrote here. You will probably perceive that the travel is consuming less fuel than you originally figured out that it would cost. You know, uh, you see that curiously enough, that asteroid belt wasn't there, or something about it seems kind of weird. You know, you see that your crew members they they start feeling super good or super tired, or they can't perform well for long periods of time. You start thinking that something is happening. And at this point, the cosmic currents starts triggering smaller events on the on places in Gaia expanse. So for example, one of the aspects of Iris is Iris Seeker. And we'll get to Iris Seeker in a little bit, but when Iris Seeker is ruling the galaxy, the paths, secrets, and to some, let's say, events opens in Gaia expanse. So if you go to a planet that's under the and we are under the aspect of Iris Seeker, and the level of intensity of the cosmic currents is 3 or higher, you may find things that you wouldn't find while exploring that planet in another period of time under another level of intensity of the cosmic current. Level 4, the level following this one, is when things starts getting really strong. Like level 4, many different things start happening. And the first example of this is that the two of us start appearing. Like you start seeing things that doesn't make sense with our knowledge about reality. So, for example, you see zones in a planet which the gravity is inverted, like the waterfall is falling in one down, but it goes upwards in the next one. You see time passing differently in a very specific planet. You see animals that didn't exist before, or plants that didn't exist before, appearing in certain places. Or you see galactic events, for example, a black hole appearing at a distance. Things start getting really, really weird on tier 4. And tier 5 only happens in the cataclysm. When tier 5 is when we are directly exposed to Iris and its influence. And when that happens, uh, when that happens, things go really crazy. Like even your crew members, if they are not protected, might be affected, like suffering mutations and things like that. So yeah, I am preparing a list of events for the, let's say, tier 5 logic here. But yeah, I want you to, when you are in the cataclysm, I want you guys to feel the strength of fate acting against you. So to conquer Iris, you need to be prepared to deal with the cosmic currents to some extent. And yeah, absolutely. Mustache added a very good question. Could crew get beneficial mutations from Iris? Absolutely. Uh, you guys will see that in every aspect that I write, I try to make positive benefits and negative benefits. So it's a trade off. Every aspect of Iris is not good or bad. It just is a manifestation of reality. And you, as a player, you bring your values to decide whether this is good or this is bad, or you desire this or you don't like this. Uh, in the game, and guys, remember, I'm talking about lore here. When I mention the game and game design, those are things that I want to suggest to game design. But please, this doesn't mean that this is going to happen, and in the way that I'm saying this is going to happen. This is pretty much my lore perspective on this event. But yeah, I want Iris to be something that when you decide to face Iris, when you decide to go to the Cataclysm after you manage to get all the prerequisites to go to Iris, you need to go prepared. Otherwise, things can get intense. And it's going to be a learning curve. Don't expect to win against Iris in your first run, to colonize the planet in your run. Okay, so I think, do you guys have any questions about the effects of the cosmic currents, intensity, and pretty much everything that I just said right now before we go back to the aspects? I see people chatting, writing. So Hawk asked a very good question. Is this something that can be trapped slash contained? Uh, yes. Uh, uh, trapped, I don't think that's going to be the case, but you can be protected from the influence of the cosmic currents. There are materials that are resistant to the influence of the cosmic currents. Of course, I'm not going to go into details about those here because they can make into game design later. But what I want, you guys will probably need to get your gears, your crew member gears, laced with this kind of material before you can face Iris influence. So this will create a whole gameplay loop in order to achieve that thing, that stage. Falco asked, Falco said, makes sense. Tier 0 to 5 under each aspect. How many aspects? I'm currently going with 10 aspects. I am not entirely satisfied with them yet. I can maybe add more aspects or change a few of them, but yeah, I am rolling with 10 aspects at this moment. Our Mustache said, are cosmic current intensities levels fluid like the aspects are fluid? Could you have an area that's usually tier 3 be a tier 4 or tier 1 sometimes? Yes, Mustache, this is a very good question. And there will be ways for you to determine the influence, the intensity of the cosmic currents without necessarily needing to go there. This is this is part of, let's say, a conjunction of data running slash cosmic current knowledge that I want you guys to, maybe in the future we can develop gameplay loops associated to that. So yeah, an area can be, let's say, tier 1 and maybe go to tier 0. Like tier 1, tier 0 in the medium risk zone, it's pretty easy for it to fluctuate, but you never see, or probably will never see, a tier 2 being a tier 4 right off right off the bat, you know. Uh, since we are talking about this, I feel I should give you guys some, let's say, spoilers. There are things that you can do to influence the intensity of the cosmic currents in a given area. Uh, I'll let your imaginations run wild here, but this is tied with Photoli, with Tufa lore, and rare materials and things like that. Usually, it's not good to tamper with the cosmic currents. They don't like, let's say it like that, under codes, under that they don't like to be tempered. They don't like to be, let's say, influenced without good reason. But yes. Puck the Pirates asked, could there be a fortitude factor for crew or players to withstand these effects better than others? This is a really cool concept, Puck. I didn't think about that like a fortitude factor. My mind was more like, for example, there are plants that if you get those plants in the high risk zone, let's say, and you have a proper alchemist or someone that knows how to deal with the properties of those plants, they could develop for you a medicine, something like that, that could make you resistant uh, to, let's say, up to tier 3 cosmic currents influence during a certain period of time. This was this is where my imagination is right now. But yeah, that the fact for it to be a fortitude factor, this is a cool thing that I need to think about. And of course talk about with guys from game design and things like that. But yeah, this is cool. Uh, so any other questions about, assuming you will have similar resistance, will assuming you will have similar resistance with Photoli or Tufa alignment? Uh, how to answer this? Iris hate Uh, yeah, I mean, talking about resistance, yes, probably. Like, we'll totally have technology to withstand the effects of the cosmic currents. The two of us, the two of us are naturally impervious to the cosmic currents. Like, for them, the cosmic currents is just a breeze, or it feels good to be in the cosmic currents. It's like being embraced by your mother. That's how the two feel about the cosmic currents. So, yeah, maybe the different species that you align yourself with will develop different paths to deal with the cosmic currents. Yeah, I think this is a good assumption that you made there. Makes sense. Um, come on, boy. Come on, bro. All right. So let's go back to the different aspects. We have, as I said, 10 different aspects. Let me give you guys the definitions of each one of them here. Give me a second. Iris Seeker, Iris Priestess, Iris Euphoria, this one I'm struggling to find the name that I want, Iris Beast, Iris Mother, Iris Dusk, Iris Majesty, and here, Iris Dreamer, and Iris Tempest. So yeah, guys. Um, oh man, the time is flying. So yeah, you guys can read. If I go reading each of them out loud, I think it's going to take the whole time that we have left on this Atlas Brew. I'd rather you guys read everything and then give you guys 1, 2 minutes and we start talking and discussing each of them. I'll give you guys, while you guys read, some context on how I created those and how I feel like we are moving forward. As I said, I'm not set in all of those. I'm still checking if I can find better aspects or more interesting aspects here. But my idea was to break down reality uh, on how a tribe would understand the different phenomena that are happening uh, when they see fate moving their civilization forward, like the Oxir saw the events that happened when Iris was created, and how they would make sense of reality by seeing the different phenomena that happens due to the cosmic currents influence. So we start with Iris Child. We have Iris Seeker, Iris Priestess, Iris Euphoria, Iris Beast, Iris Mother, Iris Dusk, Iris Majesty, Iris Dreamer, and Iris Tempest. Uh, each one of those aspects signifies a different influence that Iris is sending into reality. So, for example, as we were discussing just moments ago, we have 5 levels of intensity, but we have 10 different aspects. So, for example, let's take for Iris Majesty, for example. Uh, Iris Majesty, uh, oh, this is wrong. Hold on. The Iris Majesty is wrong. Give me a second, I'll post it again. Iris Majesty is actually one of the hardest ones. So, to explain, so I'm going with Iris Tempest. Iris Tempest is the aspect of destruction. The cosmic currents are at the peak of their power, generating powerful galactic storms that cause wreck wherever it hits, but also generate oases in other corners of the galaxy. Destruction is the first step for creation, and Iris Tempest is clearing the galaxy for new life to be born. So, when Iris Tempest is happening, uh, level 1, you might see like temperature rising, things like that. If you go to certain places during Iris Tempest Tier 4, you see planets, fields being razed by thunderstorms, galactic radiation going super high, uh, natural phenomena of destructions like earthquakes, tidal waves, these kinds of things. So each one of those aspects, they create a different influence and different intensities will tell you how strong they are. When I was talking about Iris Majesty, for example, Iris Majesty, uh, it deals with the desire for power and control, both on the good side or in the bad side of the force, if we could say it like that. So one thing, for example, I'll give you guys like of a random event that could happen in a place with tier 4 influence of Iris Majesty. Uh, there are some civilizations in the high risk zone that they are developing, like places that were colonies left behind by the different factions of Star Atlas, or species that are sentient to some extent. Whenever one of those regions, and this is how I imagine this to be, like this is how it happens in the lore. Maybe you have some game design mechanic to happen, but if there is, if the soil is fertile, I'm not sure I'm saying this right. I have a small problem with saying things in English because my mind always think of them in Portuguese. So I'm sorry, guys, if I say something that sounds weird. But if the conditions are provided, let's say we have a colony of thieves in that said star system, and then we have an event of a tier 5 Iris Magus influence there. This might trigger, for example, the rise of a new tyrant in the lore of Star Atlas. Like that guy will be empowered to create a faction, a group, and they will start oppressing the population. And if the players or other factions in Star Atlas don't deal with that guy uh, in a sensible amount of time, he'll rise and he'll become a threat for the players, becoming a new faction or something like this. This is how I perceive, for example, the effects of Iris Majesty uh, on a tier 4 event, something like this. Or maybe this will facilitate a tyrant to be deposed of his position, depending on the conditions of the planet that's suffering the aspect influence. Any specific question, guys, about the aspects of Iris? Man, everyone's quiet. I'm not sure if you guys are hating this or if this looks cool. Please let me know in the chat. Yeah, lots to take in, right? Yeah, I mean, it surely it's not a simple system, but I think it opens the doors for us to create some very, very cool stuff in the future of Star Atlas and using blockchain technology to create the influence of the cosmic currents in our universe. Ahota asked a very interesting question. Uh, uh, what aspect are we right now in Star Atlas? This is a question that I asked myself when I was writing the beginning of the Sage lore. And my my thoughts on what's happening in Galia Expanse right now, especially in the medium risk zone and the low risk zone, I would say we are under Iris Majesty right now. So yeah, take your conclusions from that. But yeah, we are under our Iris Majesty at this point. When Star Atlas novel? That's a great question, Morty. Uh, if I was, I really want. I actually, I'm not. I don't feel like I'm very talented to write a novel. I think as a writer, my skills lies more on world building than character creation. Overall, sometimes I have good ideas for concepts, like the cosmic currents. I think this is a cool concept, but I would rather have someone super talented to use the universe that I give him to write the novel. But if someday Star Atlas give me a bigger briefing room, I'll try to write a novel. Shelix asked, I assume the aspects cycle in some way. How long does one cycle last in Earth years? This is this is an interesting question, Shelix. They do cycle, but I was as I was saying, uh, it's not something that's determined by time. It's actually determined by Iris will. Like this is the answer that the Oxir tribe would give you. So for example, a cycle can be something like 1 week or 6 months, you know? And one thing that I have been it's the way that this happens is that the cosmic currents, when one aspect goes and starts ruling the galaxy, uh, the cosmic currents, they manifest for those who can, let's say, I'll give you it's not this, but I'll give you an example of something super silly so you can understand. Someone that understands the cosmic currents, how they behave and etc., they can, using the right tools, the right attunement, they can see, for example, that the cosmic currents are like a red light. And by how dense the light is, they can determine the level of intensity of the cosmic currents. If it's yellow, they will tell you that Iris Majesty is ruling the galaxy. If it's blue, they'll tell you it's Iris Priestess. It's not something like this, but it can be comprehended like that, to give you an example. Uh, and about the change, when the cosmic currents start to change aspects, that light that the person is seeing starts changing into the color of the next aspect. Your skill, your skill, your attunement, your experience will help you understand or make better assumptions about how long it will take for the next aspect to start ruling the galaxy. So it's not something that's mathematically calculated. No, it's something more that it's more of an art than science. Do you get what I'm saying here? Like the difference? Uh, the people who studies, yeah, that are tuned to the cosmic currents. They feel the changes of the tides. Uh, yeah, I really wanted this to be a super fun Star Atlas career. And something like you can fail to to inter on the interpretation of the cosmic currents, and this would generate hilarious events. Like imagine you are in the high risk zone, you have your oracle of the high risk zone. The guy tells you, "Nah, this zone is under intensity 1. Iris mother. Just chill, bro. Everything will be fine." And you go to the place, but the guy misread the cosmic currents. It's like cheer for Iris Beast. So you get wrecked. So this would be like a shitty weatherman. Yeah, it's something like that. I feel this would be super fun. Yes, the cosmic weatherman. Yeah, that's the feeling. This is, and those things they will be like, since it's an in-game skill, you won't know that your guy read the cosmic currents wrong. You go believing that he got it right. So it's going to be super funny when people start getting wrecked due to poor reading of the cosmic currents. I feel it's going to be a very entertaining gaming. It's going to be a very entertaining gameplay loop. Any other questions, guys, before we close this episode? More, I don't know if you guys were all here when I said this, but at the beginning, I rugged this episode. It was supposed to be about factions of the medium risk zone, but as I was reading Oxir lore again, I got excited to talk about cosmic currents. So that's why we talked about the cosmic currents today. Next time, I promise to abide by the schedule and talk about the topic that was beforehand announced. Thank you, Falcor. Appreciate it, friend. I'm really glad you guys like it. That's a great question. What we are going to talk about next time? I can go into medium risk zone, uh, factions, as we were supposed to go today. Uh, if you guys want. Otherwise, if you guys want to go, if you guys want to suggest one topic, we can pick it here and I prepare something for the next meeting. Up to you guys. Let me know in the chat what you guys prefer. Yeah, there are some cool factions in the medium risk zone that we can speak about. Drug trade. Okay, that's associated with the medium risk zone factions. All right. So we'll talk about the medium risk zone factions in our next meeting. I feel there's lots of factions to talk about. Uh, I feel I have more than 30 factions, pretty much in a good position where I am ready to present them to you guys with enough content, so we can perhaps deep dive on 4 or 5 of them. Mm. All right, everyone. Uh, I guess this is it for today. Uh, I Spain and Italy are going to play soon. VB wants us to close. So I feel like this is a good moment to close our 5th episode of the Lore Keepers. I want to thank you all for taking your time to come talk about lore with me. As always, I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support to the lore of Star Atlas. Hopefully, we'll keep growing this pie, and once the game launch, we'll have 100,000 pages of content for the game devs to implement Galia expense. Thank you guys. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Have or even sooner when we have the Atlas Brew. So thank you all very much. It also is a pleasure, and we are closing the 5th Lore Keepers meeting. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.